Mike Owens with LowKickMMA here, and today I'm joined by Aspen Ladd, the newest signing to the PFL 2023 roster. Aspen, great to sit down and chat. How are things with you today?
Fantastic. Honestly, it couldn't be better.
Good to hear. I can imagine it's been quite a turbulent period for you. So what I would like to maybe do to start with is, could you maybe run through how the last few weeks have been and kind of what the process has been like to get to this PFL signing stage?
So it's been in the books basically since the second the news broke about the UFC, and even before that, we were already in negotiations with a few different people. So that's been happening the last few weeks. It was really just deciding where I was going to go,
Mm.
and then after that, just getting the contract to the point where we're both comfortable with it.
How many fights did you have on your UFC deal?
Um, Geez, let me think. The last one I think was a six fight. I think most of them were six fight deals because I think it was on my third or fourth contract at that point.
Right. Okay. Okay. Can you? And I want to be very careful with how I ask this, but can you kind of talk me through the emotions of the UFC release? Can you tell me how that was given to you and how you kind of felt when you were told that news?
So at that point, it was the best case scenario. Honestly, what I felt was extreme relief
Okay.
because I needed to do something that I wasn't gonna be able to do there. And when it was all finalized, it was nothing but like a feeling.
Okay. Perfect. If we talk about the signing with the PFL, it's rumored but not 100% confirmed by PFL that you'll be fighting on the featherweight division. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep.
So they're making you they are making you your own division for the company, which is a sign if a lot of things that they've got faith that they can build a division around you.
So a couple things that happened right at the time where the UFC and I were parting ways was also when they were deciding they wanted to do the 145 division, and
Mm.
it's just the time lined up perfectly for when I was a free agent and with what they wanted to do. So building, I wouldn't say that, but I'm definitely gonna be a part of it.
Mm. How much did that sway your decision? The fact that PFL were introducing a 145-pound division.
I was already interested in PFL regardless. I mean, 55, it's big. That's just I'd be walking in at whatever, but I was not opposed to doing it just because, might as well. But when that came on the table, it was like it wasn't something thing that solidified the deal, but it was very very exciting for me.
Okay. If we're being totally honest, a lot of the female lightweights in the PFL tournament this season could probably make featherweight pretty easily. They're probably natural featherweights. It's probably Kayla in many ways that has orchestrated the lightweight division. And I know Kayla's done certain press where she says she won't be in the 2023 roster for the season, as it were. Do you anticipate that a lot of the girls who have been fighting, or the women, I should say, who have been fighting in this season, will be in next season's featherweight bracket?
Yes and no. So I think depending on what Kayla does, that will have a huge impact. And depending on how her next fight goes, I think she's gonna win it. But so I think that'll determine which of them stay in 155 versus which of them drop to 45. Because yes, a lot of them will be easily featherweights. So yes, I do think some will drop, but also they're going to be bringing in checks. So it'll be a mix.
The PFL have obviously made a lot of signings over the summer and kind of into the autumn with Shane Burgos, Marlon Moraes, and Thiago Santos all signing with the PFL prior to you signing with them. Did any of those big name signings affect your decision? Was any part of you see the PFL making noise in terms of who they're signing and want to be a part of that?
Yes and no. So there's we all know the big promotions. So when you have the ability to kind of shop around and see, you're going to look at all of them.
Hmm?
But it wasn't the other big signings that kind of drew me to it. It was the format that they do things, the way that they treated me right off the bat, and just having the ability to, as I said, the format, know when you're going to fight, and not only that, be guaranteed fights in that time period. Like that's exciting to me.
Hmm. When the UFC release occurred, was PFL first choice prior to speaking to any of the other promotions, or was there another that you had in mind?
I wouldn't say that, but I was definitely excited right off the bat as far as they went. But we had to look at all options.
If memory serves, I don't think you've ever actually fought in a tournament style format in MMA. Is that correct?
No, and I think that's thrilling. I mean, it's going to be physically hard from what I've listened to and heard from people that have done it. It's very, very difficult on the body and trying to stay healthy during that time period. But as for me, that's exciting. Like I'm very excited to attempt to do that.
A lot of the PFL athletes say, and I quote this: I've heard Kayla say this, I've heard Anthony Pettis say this. The season is the hardest thing that they've ever done. How many and I know we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves when I ask this, but how many seasons do you anticipate that you can do? I think generally a lot of fighters have said maybe 3 is the maximum. Do you anticipate that could be true, or do you think that there may be more in store?
Well, I'm signed for 3, so we'll see.
I realised that was a very difficult question to ask. I do apologise. We do have we do have the finals coming up on the 25th of November. Has there been any discussion to try and get on that card and make your debut prior to this 2023 season?
Oh, we'll see. I can't confirm, deny, or talk about any of that. So
I did see on the poster that there was a to be announced fight, so I may have put 2 and 2 together, but we will leave that there.
Very interesting.
You told me without telling me. Kayla Harrison, the face, if you like, in many ways of the PFL, and kind of what she's been able to grow not only her own brand but the PFL's brand in many ways. How tantalizing is the thought of a potential Kayla Harrison fight in 2023?
That's super exciting, and I think it definitely depends on where she is in her contract and what she wants to do. But as far as I'm concerned, that'd be a fun, fantastic fight, and it's something that I definitely, as soon as going to the PFL, that was my first thought. I was like, all right, fighting Kayla. But it's when they decide, when she decides, and if they decide. Would I be game? Absolutely.
In many ways, the kind of the two routes in terms of the fights people would probably want to see you in most would be Kayla in PFL or Chris Cyborg, I should say, in Bellator. Was the Kayla fight more tantalizing than the Chris Cyborg fight? I know other factors went into making this move, but did the Kayla fight excite you more than the Cyborg fight?
Yes. Is Cyborg still fighting for PFL? Didn't she just do, or not PFL? I'm sorry. Is she still fighting for Bellator? Because I saw she just did a boxing match.
So she's still contracted with Bellator, but they have allowed her in a contract to go and do a boxing match in Brazil.
I was curious about that because, like, with the UFC, for example, that's a big no-no. You're not doing that. So I was wondering, but yeah, no. Out of those two, it would definitely be Kayla, just because honestly, there's more buzz around it.
Kayla, in many ways, in her career, is quite a polarizing figure, and what I mean by that is people either think that she would beat everybody in the world, or people think that her records and her skills are overrated. Where do you kind of stand on the career of Kayla and skills of Kayla Harrison?
Oh God, she gets trashed so much online. It's horrible. But that's all of it. There's so much negativity. I think she's an amazing athlete and she's one of the best in the world at what she does. I don't think she's been tested yet. And I don't think she's been tested in a way that pushes her outside her comfort zone. So I think she's an amazing athlete. Do I think we have seen what she can really do or where her limitations are? Not really.
Perfect. When you're saying there about Cyborg, the Cyborg having the boxing match and the UFC being very much against going into other combat sports, is that a desire of yours as you move into your career to maybe test the waters in other martial arts disciplines?
When I was younger, I thought that'd be fun. Right now, I'm not thinking about it currently, but if the option came up and it was something that the promotion I'm with allows, why not?
Perfect. I do want to talk about I want to touch a little bit more on the UFC, leaving the UFC. You left the promotion on a current run of one win and 3 losses in your last 4. And I know this is very much a loaded question, so you can take this in any way you would like, but what do you kind of think went wrong in the kind of the concluding period of your UFC career, or the current UFC run?
A lot went wrong in the end there. So let me think. Honestly, it was just shitty situation after shitty situation, and it all culminated in not the best time.
Do you think the pandemic hurt your career in any way? I mean, and I don't think you've had a victory since the kind of beginning of COVID. Do you think that was in any way an aspect that contributed to some of the maybe losses?
So no, when the pandemic started is when I blew my knee out.
Yeah.
So So it wasn't the pandemic. I had my own awful thing going on during that time period.
Okay. Have you closed the door on your UFC career? I mean, if in a couple of years down the line, let's say a couple of PFL world titles on the mantelpiece, would you consider a move back, or is the door shut?
I don't believe in burning bridges or closing doors as far as that goes. And you never know where life's going to lead you. In a few years, we'll see.
Well, if we talk about this current run, what would you say would be the biggest takeaway from your UFC career? What would the biggest lesson that you maybe learned now going into this career with this part of your career, the PFL?
Oh God, I'm not that self-reflective.
Apologies if I'm asking two deep questions.
No, you're asking a deep one. I'm trying to think. I was like, what was the biggest lesson there? Honestly, I can't come up with a good answer right now. Like, it was great. It's over. On to the next step.
Okay, perfect. Well, one thing I would like to ask, because the PFL season formula is twofold, and what I mean by that is there is two rewards at the end. You not only win a world title, but you also win $1 million. Which of those two would mean more to you come December 2023? Which one would you hold in higher regard?
Are you saying would I hold in higher esteem the belt or the money?
Yes.
I think, like most human beings, I'm going to go for the money.
You would actually be surprised how many PFL athletes would actually say the belt is more important. So that was why I asked that question.
No, like in life, and money is not all, but it provides freedom.
Of course.
So that's where I'm going to go.
Of course. That's a fair answer, and I would probably agree with your decision, to be quite honest. If we look at we're in the beginning of October 2022 now, Aspen. Where would you like to be in 12 months' time, come the 1st of October 2023? What are your goals for the next 12 months?
Getting ready for the November tournament. This time next year, that would be my goal.
That would be your goal, to be in the final and to be preparing for the final. Okay, of course. Yep. Right, perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was a true pleasure to get some time with you, and I hope that we maybe can see you next month. But if not, I look forward to your PFL debut in 2023.
Thank you for having me.
Perfect.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.